The alpha female, she didn't convince herself because the father does not live in the house that she's the mother and the father. So she said, I'm the man of the house, which is absurd because what makes the lion the king of the jungle is not his claws or his teeth, but it's his roar. You know what I'm saying? And when the lion roars, it scares the mess out of elephants and giraffes. They get to running like crazy. Here come the lion. And they twice the size of them and twice as tall of them. But what makes a man the head of the house is his Adam's apple. Sit your butt down, boy. You know, that's that authoritarian voice that God gives men to control the children. And you know the mother will tell the child that y'all got mamas, y'all know mommy say sit down. She'll tell you 5, 6 times. Daddy say sit down, you sit down one time. You know, so all that got something to do with relationship.
So, welcome back to another episode of 8 at the Table. Myself, got Rico, and today we have a special guest, Mr. Pimpin Ken, Mr. Ken Ivey himself. Let's give it up.
Thank you.
Enjoy the show, and here we are. All right, so born in Chicago in 1964, Ken Ivey was 16 years old when he had the life, money, women, cars, clothes, and notoriety in the streets of Milwaukee and Chicago. He was awarded the coveted Mac of the Year title at the annual's Player Ball. Before long, Ivey was approached by HBO to be a consultant on an upcoming project, the now infamous Pimps Up, Hoes Down. Since then, Ken has become a celebrity in his own right. You can hear him on Jermaine Dupri's Instructions, Too Short, Chase the Cat, Lil Jon, and the East Side Boyz, Kings of Crunk, Lil Flips, Still Ballin', Mac 10's The Hood, and he stars in the video for 50 Cent's PIMP. He has been written about in The Source, Vibe, Feds, and on Salons.com.
Man, who was that guy? I did all that, man. I feel good, man. I feel with my hands, man. Feel with my hands.
Right. So
a long time ago, I had a triple bypass, and I had all the sympathy removed out my heart. I'm trying to get the sympathy back.
What are like the things to? I'm curious because I grew up watching, knowing about it, and then watching like all different types of like skits about the Players Ball, and I'm from New Jersey, so I don't think we had one here. If we did, not when I was of age to even know about it, right?
Right.
But I always wanted to win one, right? I always wanted to win one. So what does it take to win the Players Ball?
Well, it's ironic that you said that because a lot of young people say, Ken, I want to be just like you. I swear, I've been shot 3 times, 5 times. I've been in jail for 10 years. Been shot at many times. I said, I didn't, had women come and go all my life. I said, if you want to be player of the year, that's some of the things that you got to go through.
Come on with it.
So if you want to get shot, and win, the player of the year, international player of the year will be my guest.
I think, listen, hey, some things come with the territory, right? So like when we see all these like people, I mean, and I feel like, and I look at things from, I guess, like my OGs, the way I was raised, and I feel like the way I was raised and some of the morals and the things that we had to have to even be considered a man, which was player. You know what I'm saying? Really, like that's how I always looked at it. A player was just a man who was respected by men and by women and by his surroundings.
Absolutely. It's 2 parts to that, right? So the most part of my life, I was into some gangsters, So I was on the gangster level, you know what I'm saying, robbing banks and jewelry stores and stuff like that. And, you get a certain amount of respect from that, from the streets, right? And so coming up in Chicago, the Robert Taylor Projects, it's kill or be killed. You kill what you eat what you kill, right? Type situation. So I went through that. That's like a rites of passage. Being a man. Being in the game. Doing some crazy stuff. Getting kicked out of school. Throwing rocks at the cars when they go by when you're a little kid on the projects. Just doing crazy stuff, throwing stuff out the 15-story window. Hoping that it hit somebody in the head. Just crazy, goofy game shit that you do. And I went through that, right? But as I got mature and I started seeing the older gentlemen that was really winning, the people that was most attracted to me was the players, the pimps, the hustlers. You know, I mean, they didn't do all that crazy stuff. They didn't take penitentiary chances. You know, it says ing. Ing mean I'm not going. Send abroad. You know, that's how they was. That's the mentality. So then, you know, that was a whole nother level of that I reached, right? And I think that's where I think I was more proficient at, and I became more uh, successful because, you know, everything I did it just seemed to line up. You know, the stars was lining up. You know, I bought the Rolls Royce, bought the Mercedes, bought the $100,000 Rolexes, had women galore, galore, galore. You know, and that worked for me, and it just my life smoothed and out. And you know, a lot of people say, "Did pimping quit you?" No, I quit pimping. You know, because I won everything. I succeeded in every aspect of that lifestyle. You know, no one is at my age. You know, because you know, I remember Bishop now 10, 15 years older than me, but I'm competing with guys that was in the game all their life, and I'm beating them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm talking about high scores. You know, Pimp of the Year, International Pimp of the Year. You know, I got all the players from all over the world coming to my players' ball. Them Pimp some hoes down players' ball. Those my players' ball. You see all those parties. Those my parties. You know, that party in Vegas. That's my party. So I knew at that juncture that I reached the apex of where I was going with that. You know, so in answer to your question, yeah, you know, you have to have a certain amount of, you know, activity or participation to reach a certain level of respect in the game. You know, on the gangster side, I reached that. You know, even to this day, people still fear me from shit that I did 30, 40 years ago. I still walk through my hood with no security. You know, I don't have to, you know, everybody still, you know, I put in enough work to last me. And then on the positive side, you know, when I made the transition and went into the corporate side, I applied that same strategy. You know, because wherever you go, you take yourself with you, right? You know, you are who you are. So, you know, I go into the corporate world, to the business world with that same mentality. I was telling one day, I said, man, in the streets, you can't cross nobody because, you know, it can mean life or death. Well, in the corporate business, you know, I use them same principles. You know, and then when somebody crosses you in the streets, you either, you know, stop dealing with them, you handle them. So when people cross me in business, I just stop dealing with them or I handle them, but it ain't on a physical level. You know, I might buy all their stock in their company. I might do something like that, but it ain't gonna be, you know, bang bang, shoot them up.
I think that's dope, and I think it's amazing. So, like, the thing that I really take away is the transition part. That was gonna be like one of the questions I had because you know when you grow up in a certain area and you know you're adapted. I don't want to say you're adapted. You just grew up with that life, whatever that life is, right?
Right.
And a lot of people feel like they're married or they're stuck to that life. And I think it's a beautiful thing when you can figure out how to transition because I feel like you can save a lot of people. You open up their minds and their brains and their eyes to different opportunities that can exist, right?
Yeah.
So, right now, my thing that I wanted to ask you was, I know you said that basically you've accomplished all you need to accomplish when it came to the pimp game, right?
Right.
So you're like, okay, I need to transition. Um, how does your peers around you transition with you, or do you have to like, okay, I gotta start to move without them?
Well, you know, I got a saying, you know, in life, you know, you got what you call dead weight. And these dudes, you know, they was trying to define me based on their perception and their limited perception. Because, you know, if you change your mentality, you can change your reality. You change your attitude, you change your aptitude. So I was evolving, but the people around me was devolving. You know what I'm saying? They wasn't even going nowhere. They was actually going backwards. They went from being the man to being, you know, the crackhead or the jailbird or whatever they became, right? So I seen this. So I realized that the only way I'm going to succeed is I got to get rid of that dead weight. Man, once I got rid of that dead weight, I felt like Muhammad Ali. I could float like a butterfly, sting like a bee. I was light as a feather because that weight was gone. You know, and a lot of people make that mistake. They carry their dead weight and they carry their homies all the way to the end. But the only thing about it is you say, your homie say, man, let's get to 100. Oh, we're going to be 100. So I say, okay, let's do 100. So I get them to 98 and they self-destruct. Why? Because they're comfortable with their comfort zone, which is 95 and 96.
Mm-hmm.
So you understand they can't get to 100. So now it's either I self-destruct with them or I, you know, self-sabotage along with them, or do I exceed? You know, so I realized that just, you know, getting rid of that dead weight was the best policy for me. So that's how I was able to transition and start hanging around millionaires. You know, all my friends is millionaires. I got a friend now, he's a millionaire. Donald Trump is for to be at his club on what's that? The 28th. You know, he asked me to come. I'm not a Trump fan, but I told him, I said, how come? But that's the type of people that give me calls now. People that's into private equity, people that's into venture capital, or corporations and stuff like that. These are a lot of my friends today. But I still have access to my previous friends. It's just I had to just drop that dead weight.
Yeah.
The biggest problem with the eagle, right? The eagle is the most profound of all the human birds. The eagle, it don't fly, it soars, When the eagle, see a storm, it goes into the storm propel it to its highest apex so he can be way high in the air. When the eagle see a pigeon, he fly away from it because he know he's flying too low, right? An eagle, he can see his prey 100 miles away. He can pick what he gonna eat, miles away. But his favorite meal is the weasel. So as he can see the fox, he can see the rabbit, he can see the snake, the fish, and he can see the weasel. But he go for the weasel all the time. But once he get the weasel, he put his claws in the weasel, and he put the weasel up to his chest. He ascend 10,000 feet, then he descend 10,000 feet to his death because the weasel eats his chest up. He don't know when to let go. You got to know when to let go. If you just let the weasel go, while the weasel was eating into his chest, he would have never ate his heart out, and he would have never descended to his death. So, a lot of times, not only you got to get rid of the dead weight, you got to get rid of the weasel. And the eagles is very smart. Don't take the eagles can live to be up to 70 years old, but when they get to 40 years old, you know what happened?
They die.
No, their claws get weak and their beak get weak. You know how they do it? He got to go to a hard place and tear his beak out. You know what I'm saying? And then grow another beak, and then he bite his nails. You know what I'm saying? That's called endurance. You know what I'm saying? So, eagles are smart things to observe, but what's more better to observe is human beings. We got to absorb our people. We got to see people's flaws because most people, they start at your feet and end up at your throat. They pretend that they love you, they're down with you, they praise you, and really, you know what I'm saying, you think they're down with you, but they really down to get you.
Damn, baby, that's some.
That make you want to take a sip, huh?
Yeah, I had to.
Take a sip.
I gotta get a cheers on that. I gotta get it. I gotta get a toast to that. Jeez.
I'll take a sip with you.
So I got a question for you. I see you're holding a book right here. Can you tell the people about the book you're holding?
Yeah, well, this book is very dear to me because this is the first book that Simon Schuster ever printed. Actually, it's my daughter's book. I asked her, can I bring it? Because, I didn't want to, I wanted to have some history here. So, I'm riding around, getting money, pimping and hustling, right? Get a phone call from this company called Simon & Schuster. Simon & Schuster, American Avenue, right there in Manhattan. They said, we give you $25,000 for a book. And I'm riding in my Benz, and I'm thinking, I said, man, that won't even pay for the front end clip on this Benz. What I'm gonna do with $25,000? I was like, y'all serious? I was like, I'm not gonna write no book for no $25,000. So my literary agent at the time, Ed Davis, he said, Ken, we'll get back on later. So maybe 3-4 years later, they called back. They said, hey man, what did $250,000 sound like? I said, it sounds like it paid for a new Benz. So I ended up taking the deal. And man, I never wrote a book in my life. This is the honest to God truth. I never wrote a book in my life. But my mom used to always say, your life is a testimony. Your life is a book. So, I always remember what she had said. So when they offered me the money, they said they're gonna give me half up front. So they gave me $125,000 up front. Getting $125,000 up front was kind of like, man, this is people real. Mm-hmm. Man, not even never writing a book in my life. I just started writing. And I had a co-writer, a sister by the name of Karen Hunter. She wrote the book with Kareem Stephan, Superhead. Remember that book? Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, she was my co-author too. But, the stuff I was writing was so real that she said, I can't change nothing, So I told the publisher, I said, they said, how much did she write? I said, she didn't write nothing, too much of nothing. They said, so they ended up cutting her check in half, because they said, I wrote this book 100% by myself. Of course, she helped me with some editing and stuff like that. But she just said, pretty much, Ken, and it was basically a parody because when we was having a meeting in New York, in Manhattan, the publisher and the marketing people was at there. They was like, what do you want to call it? I said, I don't want to be like Iceberg Slim. I don't want to be like Donald Goins. I want to have my own flavor. So they said, I said, well, I want to capitalize on Robert Greene. He had a book called The 48 Laws of Power. I want to have a book called The 48 Laws of Game.
Mm-hmm.
You understand what I'm saying? So I said, but got to keep it pimping. So we're going to call it Pimpology. Pimpology means the study of, you know what I'm saying, the study of something, right? So, like psychology, sociology, anthropology, well, we got Pimpology. And I wanted to be the professor, that write that book. So, and then I wanted the 48 Laws of Game because when people type, because we live in a very, SEO type environment, search engine optimization. So, people, when they type in certain words and keywords, certain things come on. So when they type in the 48 laws, I wanted my book to pop up. I also said, let's call it a self-help book. So I learned, when I first came home from prison, I used to go to the library. I used to go to Barnes and Nobles. I used to say, where's all the black books? And they would point me all the way in the back in the chitlin circuit, right? I said, man, I don't want to be back there. I said, how do you not get in the chitlin circuit of Barnes and Nobles? Well, you got to be a self-help book. So the 48 Laws of Game, the 48 Laws of Power, where do my books sit? Right next to Robert Greene, Kiyosaki, right next to Zig Ziglar, Og Mandino, all of the self-help books. So I was able to strategically, pimp the book game, so to speak. That's why Simon Schuster loved me. That's why I'm a literary agent for them now. I just signed Boosie and Ice-T and Corey Wise from Central Park 5. So they was like, you very methodical. You very thoughtful in your process. You're a chess player, right? So I said, yeah. So that's how I was able to maneuver and outsell any African-American book, no matter what genre, what area that was out at that time, because they didn't have the science and the game that I had to get in that system. And I end up, knocking that system boots out. We made millions and millions of dollars. This book is in its 26th printing today. They're still printing this book, because of the strategies that I use, and a lot of white people, if you go look at the reviews on Amazon, ain't nothing but white people. Oh, this is an awesome book. We talking about Pimpin. Like, this is some awesome, I'm like, I said, do they know this is real Pimpin right here? You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, it was a lot of game in to write this book. That's why I love this book, man. This going to always be my favorite, because, just think about it, right? I'm coming from the streets. This is a big-ass corporation. They worth billions of dollars. CBS owns Simon & Schuster. They own all the TV network. So I'm here, I'm talking to these people, and, I'm thinking like a street dude, like, hey, man, how can I finesse this book? I said, I want to be right next to Robert Greene. I don't want to be back there in the chilling circle. So I'm thinking like this in a corporate meeting. We had a big old meeting, everybody at the round table, but I'm like finessing the situation, man. And I said, man, I know that I can make a transition. I said, if I can go there and sit down with all these educated corporate people and give them some game, I know I'm that dude. You know what I'm saying? When it comes to business, transitioning and making that transition into the corporate world, I know I can do it. You know what I mean? I just started believing. I started writing it down. I read it every day, affirmations. I just started opening up daycares, started opening up other businesses, real estate, bought a lot of property, just went strictly from the business. At that time, pimping was no more attractive to me.
So when you get to this new, not genre, but this new career path, right? What do you feel like are the goals that you want to accomplish here, like in retrospect or in comparison to the goals that you had, when you were pimping and everything else, when you became that top A-dog, you know what I'm saying? Top dog in that list. What are your goals now in this new genre?
Well, it's funny that you said it, because me and my partners joke all the time. And I say, baby ain't got more game than me. Jay-Z ain't got more game than me. I said, ain't no way Master P got more game than me. I said, none of these dudes ain't got more game than me. I said, how in the hell are they moguls? I said, how the hell did they become moguls? I'm way smarter than these guys, right? And so I said, man, that's what I want to be. I want to be like Master P, Jay-Z, Dr. J. I want to be a mogul. So that's why I started the hip hop fraternity. And I opened up several businesses up under that auspices. We got HHF Records, HHF Clothing, which my brother David Gonzalez is our manufacturer. We got HHF Radio. We got HHF Social Media. Everything that Mark Zuckerberg or anybody that's doing in those spaces, we doing the same thing. So, my aspiration, my goal is to become a mogul, like Jay-Z. And I know people don't like Puffy, but I'm going to say it like Puffy, all these people, that's doing well, that's in the African-American community, because, as a student of the Honorable Noble Drew Ali, the Honorable Noble Drew Ali taught us many years ago that it takes finance to uplift the nation. So we know that no matter what we do, whether it's toothpaste or toothbrush, whatever, we can't do none of these basic necessities without buying these items, right? And we're talking about, not only consuming, but also being a producer. So, that's the side that I'm on. So I went on to publish my other book, which is The Art of Human Chess. I did it self-published. I learned everything I learned from now. I talked to my publisher. He gave me the game, showed me how to go and put it out there on a national level where it could be worldwide. And just those type of things is, where I'm aiming to be. I want to be a mogul, and then I'm bringing up young people like James, C.B. Gray, Vado, my main man. He's the chairman. He was the CEO. He's the chairman of my organization now. James is the CEO of my organization. We're taking these young people and putting them in strategic positions and aligning them with the corporate world and teaching them corporate governance and understanding corporate terminologies and stuff like that. Just simple things, simple words that you hear every day on the news that you don't even know what it means. And so that's what I'm doing. So I put out booklets and put out little pamphlets and stuff, and I disperse that to my brothers, and we sit down, and anytime like we doing business with Floyd Mayweather's business partner, Mr. Langton King. We was working on doing the Floyd Mayweather fight with them, project with them. So, I put all of them on the phone, on a conference call, or Zoom with these business people so they can hear, how business is, translated.
Did you have somebody who you feel like you learned the most from?
Well, my greatest teacher was my father. He had a third grade education. But he was so confident, man. He was from Mississippi, man. He's a country nigga, man. I mean, like, just so ain't nobody better than me. I'm the greatest. He used to say that all the time. And, he used to drill. I talk about that in my book. And that's where I got my self-confidence from, man. And, I remember I was coming home from school, and I was on the bus, and one of the little dudes, the bullies, was bullying me, right? And so I thought I was doing something. So I'm going to tell my daddy. I'll get out the thing. My daddy put me back on the bus and told the bus driver, man, you better not move. And he said, fight that dude. So I was fighting him, and eventually I ended up winning the fight. But my father had instilled that confidence in me, and that just took me all through the world. So, my daddy is my first teacher. A lot of people, they said, well, man, Don Juan didn't give you no game. These people, my father now was hustlers. So I grew up, I said, my father now was my mentor. Don Juan, eventually they became, my partners and stuff like that. Rob Robinson, all the big P's and hustlers of the day, they was cool. But, my daddy had a TV and a phone in his car when I was like 4 or 5. My uncles now had they had own bars and clubs. So I grew up in the game. So I didn't really have no people in the streets to really mold me. I was molded, born in this game. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. All right. I know I got mad questions. Don't worry about it.
Going.
So when y'all had the players ball, right? Mm-hmm. So look, I'm Jersey, born and raised. I'm dying for this. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, Jersey must really be that thing there, boy. You talking about Jersey? You love Jersey.
I love because you know why? Everybody abandoned their homes, like, and I don't like that, especially like over here. But when y'all were doing, like, when y'all had the players ball and y'all had people coming out from different areas, was there somebody that was cold from Jersey? I was just curious.
Yeah. I had a couple of pimp partners from Jersey, man. I had a lot of pimp partners from New York. It was like a community, right? Back in the day, we all meet up in New York on 11th Avenue. That was the track back then, or either in Hunts Point, or either DC on M Street. And so, my man Amir, was from Jersey. I think my man, what's his name? Ross, he was from Jersey. They were some big time hustlers and players, And, it's usually the game. It's a lot of people all over that's in the game. You would never know them because they ain't going to be here in Jersey doing what they do. Like, I'm from Milwaukee. You would never see me in Milwaukee talking about I'm this or I'm that. But everybody in Jersey, everybody in New York, everybody in California, everybody that's really doing something, we knew each other. That's how it was. It was like a secret society, so to speak.
The big dogs all knew each other.
Yeah.
Basically. What was it? Wait, one last question. What was the most lucrative, I guess, state for pimping?
Oh man, that's hard to say, man, because I talked about this on another podcast. I think some women sell coochie. My women didn't sell coochie. They sold pussyality. So I mean, giving them game and how to get money anywhere. That was really what I did. I would teach them how to get money on different levels, how to do things without actually having sex. So my greatest hustle can be in say Nebraska, in a little hole in the wall with nothing but farmers, and I might break them for 100,000 in a week like that. It depends on where you at. Now if you want to talk about just on some street stuff, of course DC was popping. New York was popping, but that was too small for me. I used to say pimping was a school for boys. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I was doing some other level. I was extraterrestrial. You know what I'm saying? I would be considered a Martian in the game. You know what I mean? Well, the ironic thing about my book, you read it, right? It's not really about pimping. It's about elevation and it's about principles of life. Like when I talk about purse first, ass last, I say, what if you was going to McDonald's, you was ordering a 2-hour beef patty, special sauce, lettuce, pickles, onions on the sesame seed bun. That's a Big Mac. You got to pay a window 1, but you don't get the Big Mac to window 2, right? It's the value. You know what I mean? I talk about the value of Mona Lisa, a Picasso, a Wardolph, all these expensive paintings, what makes them worth $1 million? What makes a pimp worth anything? Well, I say in the game, in the chapter 1, if you let a woman try you before she buy you, then the thrill is gone. Most men think with their little head, not with their big head. If they only think with their big head, that'll make them easy for her to want to get to the little head because she'd be so impressed with the big head. But they don't understand that, so a lot of guys think on that level, and then, I talk about, if was a fifth, we'd all be drunk. If my grandmama was my granddaddy, what I'm saying? She had what he had, she'd be my grandfather. So, I mean, when you think about that in that context, and you think about some of the things I mentioned in there, about, get a name in the game. Don't let your history be a mystery. All these are daily principles, right? But I had to package it in such a way that the average layman, the person who's not in the game, can interpret what I'm saying. So when I try to reach out to the young people, I try to tell them, hey man, listen, be persistent, be ambitious, have a desire, have self-confidence, change that I can't mentality to I can mentality. And I'm telling them this in the book, but a lot of them, it flies right over the head because they want to be a master of women, and they think it's about mastering women. It's actually about mastering self and mastering business, because in any game, whether it's the D game or the P game, you have to buy product, you got to chop it up, you got to distribute it, you got to have customers, you got to have good salesmen, it's all business, but we are so typecast, in particularly in America, in particularly African Americans, we so typecast to believe that we got to hustle. I gave a speech one time. I said, well, most African American men say, I'm not going to work for the white man, which is understandably so, because the white man had you working for 250 years for free. So you identify work with slavery. And people don't know these are psychological images and changes of slavery as taught by Dr. Naeem Akbar. He talks about this in his book. He said, well, the reason why most of the slaves, were anti-work was because the work for so long was a part of the punishment, working in the fields, picking cotton, picking whatever, you was picking. So people, they had a disdain for work. And in this society, you got 3 levels of survival. You got gainful employment, gainful business, having an actual business, welfare. You know what welfare did? They kicked all the males out the house and said, you can't live with the woman. So the man is out there on for his own. So ain't no welfare for the man. It's farewell, not welfare. And then, you got crime. So a lot of us end up reverting to crime. And that's what's, is killing us. And I want to teach young people in particular, that you don't have to have crime. That I make a lot of money. I made millions and millions of dollars not committing crimes. And my book is a testimony. Okay, well, if Ken can write a book and Ken can make millions of dollars off a book, that's the game. Man, that's a game to flip to. He flipping books. He ain't flipping rock. He ain't flipping chicks. He flipping books. And that's what I try to do in everything I do, whatever kind of business I open. I always tell people, like, I got a credit business. I tell people about, how to, leverage their credit, how to fix their credit, stuff like that. I'm always trying to get them game, but a lot of times it go over their head because they got this mentality, I don't want to work for the white man. I believe what Shakespeare said, it is adversity that gets man to his destiny. The gentleman that had the fork company, still has a fork company, multi-billionaire. He tried 9 banks. They all told him no. His wife said, try one more. He tried one more bank, and he ended up getting the loan. Now he's a multi-billionaire. And they asked him, he said, how did you do it? He said, it was the hardship. It's what I went through, that caused me to be successful. You ain't going to have a major breakthrough until you experience a major fall through. See, a lot of people understand this. The rainbow don't come until after the storm comes. Then after the storm comes the rainbow. The beautiful colors come after the storm. So life is a storm. You need a storm in your life. You need a Goliath. Goliath, David wouldn't have been nothing without Goliath. If David didn't figure out how to take care of Goliath, hit him upside the head, and then take his sword and kill him, you know what I'm saying? He didn't have that challenge. He didn't have something bigger than himself to challenge him. He would have never succeeded. So that's very important in life. We all must have a Goliath. We all must have, adversity and hardship, in order for us to get to, successful level of success. And I tell people, my favorite book is Think and Grow Rich. And the reason why my favorite book is Think and Grow Rich because he had a portion in that book about Benjamin Franklin. He said, and they asked Benjamin Franklin, he said, sir, you failed 10,000 times. Why did you quit? He said, because I realized that if I failed 10,000 times, that eventually I was going to succeed. He said, I just ran. He basically, I'm paraphrasing. He basically said, well, it took me 10,000 times, then I finally found something that I can win in. So you can lose 10,000, but you only need one time to win. And that's basically what Benjamin Franklin was saying. That's how I look at life. Man, I could tell you about all of the trials and tribulations in my life, and it outweighs all the little minor successes that I accumulated or I may have procured in my journey, right? But you just got to keep going. The winner never quit. The quitter never win. Whatever the mind believes and conceive, the mind can achieve, and that's how you got to look at it. You just got to keep going. When it seems like all hell is breaking out, that's when God is about to bless you. When it seems like all your friends is turning back on you, that's when God is about to bless you. The blessing comes usually after the stressing. They say these haters gonna stress you, but God gonna bless you. And that's the truth, man. So I think, that's one of the main things that you said, because, people see all these books and they see the suits and the diamonds and the Rolexes and stuff, but they didn't see the many years I spent in prison. They didn't see, I've been shot different times. They didn't see all the struggle, how many times I've been broke, how many times, I had to bust moves to survive. It seems pretty, but, anyone who ever accomplished anything, they had to go through something.
And I also think that, now, I'm just comparing. I think now we have too many safety nets, and I don't believe in safety nets. I believe you need to drown.
You do.
Just like, there's many times in my life where I drown, and one of the things that I kind of picked up when you said Ben Franklin fell 10,000 times, I remember when I was going through some crazy situations, I was like, well, I done survived 9,999 times.
Yeah.
10,000 ain't gonna kill me. I know I'm built for this, this struggle, this tribulation that I gotta go through. And then that allows you to know that you have the endurance of the struggle to get to the success. And I think that if I take, and I'm not saying that your life would be entirely different, but potentially that situation when he was getting bullied, his dad said, all right, cool. And his dad is his rescue. That confidence is not instilled right then.
Right.
So when we try to give these safety nets, my daughter, she falls, like let her cry it out. She needs to learn how to fall. Mm-hmm. Don't pick her up, let her cry it out. You know what I'm saying? Like,
the crazy thing that you said that, right? A lot of people say you learn from other people's experience, right? Somebody can teach you how to swim. or somebody can push you in the water, you can drown. I think that we as human beings, we overthink situations, and we think about the water and we think about the difficulties. I know so many people that start businesses. You know what I'm saying? 6 months later they quit, start another business. 6 months later they start another business. Well, if they would have just stayed the entire year, that business would have been successful because they would have went through the turbulence. You know what I'm saying? The rough patches, and then eventually they would have figured it out. You got to figure it out. And you got to keep going. The greatest story I heard about endurance was a guy. He was some type of sprinter, a 400-mile dash, or whatever, and they was running. He broke his Achilles heel in the process of running, and everybody was running past him. He just kept running, and they all went out there to help him. His father said, "Let him go, let him go." He got to finish, and he got to the end of the finish line. He collapsed, and that's what I think life is really about. Despite what we go through, no matter how deep the hardships is, no matter what the adversities are, we still have to just keep going. Even my organization, Hip Hop Fraternity, I done been through 4 or 5 presidents, so many CEOs. I didn't, had some people that promised me they'd never leave me, and that they're gonna be there until the end. We rocking with you. I had artists that come, I put them on major platforms. Next day they disappear. I just got to keep going. It's the persistence, because persistence wear down resistance. Persistence wear down resistance, and that's what you got to do. You just got to keep going, no matter how hard it get, no matter how tough it get. The devil is so cold. A lot of people don't understand this. People always talk about the devil, but they never read that part of the Bible they call the legions of dooms, the legions of demons. The legions, it's a bunch of them devils. And how they work different than the devil just coming at you on one level. These devils, they come at you, they get in your shoe, they get in your dog, your cat, your woman, your auntie, your mama. They get to everything until they break you. But you got to be able to recognize that, anytime something happens haphazardly or spontaneously that is not of normalcy, and you ain't really, like, man, what's up? Why this lady just tripping on me at this Whole Foods? That's the devil. People do stuff to you that ain't got nothing to do with you, or something happen, and people tripping on you for no reason. And somebody come in and just knock all these cameras down. That's the devil. That's where you got to give yourself a check up for the neck up. You got to give yourself that 15-minute pause and say, oh, this is a trick of the devil. And those legions of doom, devils, demons, they just come in so many different ways. So you got to know that the higher the level, the higher the devils.
So some major things that I'm picking up from you is the triumph, having confidence, and it seems like you have like this amazing perspective that you've always had.
Yeah.
Before like these buzzwords that we have about projection, you guys didn't call it projection back then. You were just living life and figuring it out on the go.
Yeah, when I read the books, it was crazy. Like my daddy instilled all this stuff in me as a kid, but it was some country boy shit, right? He was a country man, but a lot of stuff he said, you the greatest, don't never quit, believe in yourself, all that stuff. When I got to Think and Grow Rich and Argument, then when I was reading this stuff, it resonated because it was already in me, and I wonder why. I said, why did I went from stealing watches and stealing candy, to sell to my classmates, to stealing, jewelry, $40,000-$50,000 for jewelry, $100,000 for jewelry, to robbing banks, stealing $50,000-$60,000 at a time. I said, one of that, it's because I had that appetite and I wanted more. And I noticed that, and I looked at the people around me, the little kids that was around me, and me and my partner, JD, we always wanted more than everybody else. We had Cadillacs and Benzes at 16 and 21. It's like we wanted the most. And, but we didn't want to sell drugs. That's something that we never liked. We tried it, but it was just really something that we didn't want to do. And we just kept, we were going want. And, I think that led into, my business, the way I do business now. I don't want to just go into a self-published book. I got to do business with Simon & Schuster. I got to do business with HBO. I got to do business with Sony and Columbia and Def Jam, which I did business with all these people. I got to do the biggest and the baddest of everything. And that's what happens. Once you establish that mentality, it's almost a given. You don't even have to think about it. It's like, most of us don't even understand that we're creatures of habit. So when you walk, you ain't always walk, you used to crawl. But once you learn how to walk, it became part of your subconscious mind. So you do it habitually, right? You eat habitually. You don't count your food, but you used to measure your food, how you put it. Then eventually it becomes a habit. And I think that's what we got to do in terms of our principles. We got to establish principles and forever live accordingly, make those principles habits. So we do them instinctively, right? We don't have to think about it. It's just like you walk or you talk or you eat. All that stuff is habitual. Where your goals and your principles have to be habitual too, because once you establish principles, and principles is very important. A lot of people don't understand how important principles. The letter A, B, C, D, right? Mm-hmm. Those are characters, right? A, B, C, D, characters. Mm-hmm. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So you go all the way from A to Z. Those are characters and principles in the alphabet. Those characters never change. They never change. A, B, C, you're going to spell dog, D-O-G, and cat, C-A-T every time.
Yeah. It
never changes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 are principles in our numerical system. It never changes, right? Even when you want to go to the next level, you want to get to the 10, you got to go back and get the 1 and put it on the 0. 0 is nothing unless it's got a 1. And you can do that all the way to a billion. That's called building and establishing character, principles. So you understand, once we understand the principles and the characters of life, we can move and we can succeed, and it becomes a part of your it's an indelible part of your brain. You just do it instinctively.
0 is nothing unless you put a 1 in front of it. I'm taking that.
Have a sip.
I'm running out.
I said, hey, you have to take a break. I'm gonna sip them to death.
Yeah, we're gonna have to run it back.
Okay, well, I'm gonna speak from experience, right? When I was a kid, my mother and my father, my aunties and my uncles, it was like a love fest. We all had the family. The men and the women lived in the same household. The children had 2 parenting. That's how it was when I was coming up. Everybody in the block knew each other. That was relationship. The women, they go and have dinner or tea. The men go have a beer, watch a game. That was how it was back when I was coming up. And I was coming into that. But at some point, and particularly in the African American community, something happened. What happened was the Black Panthers, SNCC, you know what I'm saying? The Civil Rights Movement. All these things, what it did, it changed the dynamic of the Black culture. What did it do? It made the Europeans, our adversaries, our diabolical enemies, understand that these people are fed up. They're willing to put guns in their hand. They're willing to march. They're willing to get water hose on them. They're willing to, file legislation. They want voting rights. They want civil rights. And at this point, they had to devise a plan, because at first, President Kennedy gave Martin Luther King whatever he wanted. He got whatever he wanted. What you want, King? Okay, what you want? Johnson, what you want? They did everything we wanted. Then they devised a plan. We got to go after the Black family. Okay, so how did they do it, right? Let's be realistic, right? The first thing they did was they put counterinsurgency drugs in our community. Heroin. Y'all could just look on Jersey, walk anywhere in Jersey, back in Newark, a lot of addicts walking around. That was the first thing they do. Who ended up on drugs? The biggest Black Panthers in the world. Tupac Mama and Huey Newton. What is that? What's the odds of them both ending up on heroin? You know what I'm saying? Counterinsurgency drugs. The insurgency is insurrection. That's how you get the Rodney King riots and all the riots in Detroit, right? So now, in 1970, something very crucial happened that we have to tie it all into the relationship side of it, right? The black woman started to partner with the white woman liberation movement, which started in 1920 with Susan B. Anthony, right? So now when the black woman partnered with the white woman with the civil rights, she put on a bow tie, she cut her hair short, and she said, I don't need no man. And then another crucial thing happened. They said, okay, we want to help the Black community out. We're going to help the Black children and the Black woman by giving them welfare. But there's only one caveat. The Black man can't live in the house. See what I'm saying? You see where I'm going with this? Mm-hmm. So now that the Black man and the Black woman can't coexist and they can't raise their children together, what happens? The black woman like, hey, I got to survive. Dude, you can't stay here. My social worker on the way over here. You go. I ain't finna get kicked off of you. I gotta take care of my babies. Now the black man, he can't be with his woman. What'd he do? Do what he always naturally do. He went to hustling and went to hanging out in the streets. Now he got more kids. So now you're creating out of wedlock. You're creating kids out of wedlock. You're creating a cesspool of destruction. Okay, it didn't stop there. They said, okay, well, we got the black woman and the black man feuding with each other because of this welfare thing. Now we got to bring in some drugs, some real drugs, a better counterfeiting drug, which was crack cocaine. You know what I'm saying? So crack cocaine, what it did, took all the men out the house. All of us tried hustling at one point because it was too alluring. The money was too good. And so now you got so many black men incarcerated, black women out here fending for themselves. And then you throw in social media. Oh boy. now you really got a problem. So now you got women on social media lying like a big dog. Popping other women pictures talking about this me. You go, you partner up with them, you go over there and it look like, with the woo. You know what I'm saying? And then, now, you know what I'm saying, women living for likes.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And comments. You know what I'm saying? So now there's no socialization. We are social beings. Humans are social beings. There's no socialization, and it's creating a wedge in relationships. So now women, first of all, and particularly black women, they already, been mixed up by the system. They done already broke up the black family. You add social media to that. Now, all these women, they living for likes and comments, and dudes, they on there, faking too, with their jewelry on, talking about they damn, and women, you know how it go. I don't want to break it all down. Take a whole year to break down social media. But that's what happened. So then another thing that happens is that you got the alpha female. The alpha female, she didn't convince herself because the father does not live in the house that she's the mother and the father. So she said, I'm the man of the house, which is absurd because what makes the lion the king of the jungle is not his claws or his teeth, but it's his roar. You know what I'm saying? And when the lion roars, it scares the mess out of elephants and giraffes. They get to running like crazy. Here come the lion. And they twice the size of them and twice as tall of them. But what makes a man the head of the house is his Adam's apple. Sit your butt down, boy. That's that authoritarian voice that God gives men to control the children. And the mother tell the child that y'all got mamas, y'all know mommy say sit down. She'll tell you 5, 6 times. Daddy say sit down, you sit down one time. So all that got something to do with relationship. And then little girls are very precious. You know what I'm saying? I got a little daughter. I got several daughters. And when they were young, they all want to play with Barbie. They want to play with House and stuff like that. So they're developing romanticism at a very young age. So they thinking already, I'm going to get married. I'm going to be like Barbie. I'm going to marry me and Ken. We out there riding dirt bikes. You know what I'm saying? We playing basketball. We kickball. We ain't thinking about no relationship. So it grow up different. So when men get with these women be expecting a hustable relationship. They want romance. And these dudes don't know what it is. They don't know what it's about. Ain't no father in the household, so they don't have no examples. And that's why you see so many relationships. And women, they see these dudes, a lot of them, I hate to say it, a lot of them weak. They're weak because they grew up under weakness. The mother cannot be strong. A woman is a nurture. Her job is to feed the child. You know what I'm saying? It's to, give the child guidance. The father is to discipline the child. That's why the discipline, imagine a child 6'8", the mama 5'2". She beating on the child, he laughing at her like, go on, quit playing, mama. You know what I'm saying?
Can't hurt me.
Yeah. I mean, some real stuff. And, a lot of these women, like I said, they didn't bought into Jerry Springer, Oprah Winfrey, Murray. All this stuff has contributed to the disassociation and the debasement of the relationship between the male and the female. And it's not just black women, it's white women too, but black women more so because of the advantage that white folks have of us. They in a better economic state than we are. They can send their children to better schools. So that can cause, serious complications within the family structure.
It's crazy. I think about it, and because like the second part of the question is like what's the projection about the next, like, give or take 10, 15 years from now?
Oh, what the next projection look like? Hey man, we in a bad situation because
Really
you know,
bad.
social media. You know, they just came out. Congress is about to pass a law saying that you know children should be banned from social media at a certain point in time because it's causing mental illness. You know, a lot of people have killed themselves because of social media. You know, women, you know, who don't think they're pretty, and you know, they got all this stuff and all these
men.
likes, and yeah, men too. You know, and a lot of dudes, you know, they see other dudes balling on social media. You know, you probably never knew him because you don't live in Jersey. You don't know dudes balling over in Jersey, but now you can hit his page and become a friend and see dude having money like for real, for real. You know, so that's all that's going to it. Then you know, the funny thing that here's where we go. This is where we go correlate, right? Have you ever went to a restaurant in 2024? Just sit there. Just go by yourself and just sit there and look at all the couples. What are they doing?
On their phone.
They this. The whole restaurant, not just black, white. So that's causing a wedge in the relationship too. You know, usually, you know, you had to, because you can take them out to eat. You got the Mac. You know,
Yeah.
you want to go home, have a little fun, so you got to do a little Mac, and you got to talk a little smoothness, right? You know,
Get them laughing.
I mean, she don't need no company now. She got her phone. You know, he don't need no company. He got his phone. You know, and Lord knows what they're doing on the phone. So, I mean, it's like
Setting
you know,
up the next play.
yeah, setting up the next play. So it's kind of difficult for people to say that you know we're gonna get even better in the future because you know one of the main things that's you know causing the problem is getting better at what it do. You know, I mean, IG is getting better. You know, the app is you can actually make women make themselves look cute on IG. They got what they call them filters now. Oh, I got green eyes, honey.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, so you know
Photoshop is real.
and you know, you look at them, and you know, you look at AI. They got AI pictures. Like, man, mommy fine, man, mommy.
You can change the whole, like, you can make yourself look like you on vacation.
Yeah,
Like that's the craziest part.
So that's, I mean, that's the problem that I see. I see that I see it getting worse in the future. But you know, who knows, man? You know, life is always, you know, like even during the time of Jesus. You know, I think in Muhammad, you know, Prophet Muhammad. You know, they said during the Prophet Muhammad time, may the peace and blessing of Allah be upon him. They said that it was 365 gods in the Kaaba. That's in the Abraham house of Abraham. They call it the Kaaba now in Mecca. Prophet Muhammad had to clean all them people up because they were idolatrous. They believed in idols. He had to change their whole mentality, and he did. He changed the whole nation of people. You know, Elijah Muhammad did the same thing. You know, Daddy Grace did the same thing. T.D. Jakes is doing that over there at the Potter House. You know, every now and then it come a great savior or a great person who can probably ameliorate or change the mentality of the people.
And I think that's important because right now, so I feel like I'm at that age. I mean, majority of the people where I grew up, we didn't have dads, right? So, you know, if you had a dad, you was lucky.
Not necessarily.
Yeah. No, I mean, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, because like, and it's so crazy because I
would have traded spots with you, man. My dad, I got so many extension cord whips on my back from having a dad. Man, I used to get beat down.
No. Listen, trust me, I get it. But I mean, like, from the kids, like, we were jealous. What I'm saying, like, you were lucky from the outside. You lucky you got both parents.
From a connection.
I mean, I'm just talking mess. Yeah.
Yeah. Look, don't get me wrong. I used to get my ass whooped, right? But I needed it. But regardless, what I'm trying to say is, and now I remember when I got to like 17, 18, I started to be able to see the difference between the men who were really feminine, you know what I'm saying, and had that weakness about them that only another man can identify.
Yeah, I talked about that one time in a podcast. I said, you know, the only irony about not being up with your dad is that when your mama leave, you trying on her shoes, you put on her wig, you playing with her lipstick. You know what I'm saying? And you doing it as a kid. Because, you know, me, I'm trying on my father's razor. You know what I'm saying? I got his tie on. You know what I'm saying? But they doing it because that's the only imagery that they see. They in the mirror looking at their body, and they switching like Mae West because this is the imagery that they see. So when you get a pedophile or molester come into that orbit, into that family structure, whether it's an uncle or cousin just got out of jail, somebody that's weird or got weird tendencies, then he thinking that is homosexuality. He mistaken that, and he usually try to flip that child, right? Tyler Perry said his biggest situation what messed him up was a man had sex with him, oral sex with him when he was a kid. So he was saying that if you're not careful and if you like it, you would think that that's your first encounter is with another man. And that's when you get your ejaculation from. So, what I mean? All this stuff, the priest, the Catholic priest, all them, doing the stuff that they do, the pedophile, the dude just got out of jail. All these dudes that's practicing these weird behaviors, they prey on what? Kids and children that got young men that got feminine tendencies that is not intentional. You can be feminine and not be intentionally feminine. It's just that you grew up with a female. I'm masculine because my daddy used to talk crazy. And we used to imitate, well, you said you didn't grow up with your father. We used to imitate my daddy. My daddy said, yeah, man, these niggas. And me and my brothers be in the back room, yeah, man, these niggas, we be imitating Pops, right? We try to say everything he say. I think that you're right. That causes a lot of brothers. Then emotionalism. See, it's 3 levels of things that I want to focus on. First one is IQ. IQ is, right? Mm-hmm. Intelligent quotient. EQ is emotional quotient. So you got to have a high IQ, but you got to have a high EQ too. Now, the people that have the highest EQ are women because they have to raise their children. They have to be emotionally connected to the child. So their EQ is real high. Men need to have high EQs as well. Otherwise, you're going to be a murderer, a killer. You're going to do crazy stuff because you letting your emotions supersede your intelligence. Your EQ supersedes your IQ. Then there's another level, is AQ. And that's where it's most profound because that's where you have to be most sharp. That's adaptability quotient. You got to be able to adapt to situations. You asked me earlier, man, how did it feel going from the hustling to the corporate world? I had to adapt to the corporate structure. I couldn't your gift will take you where your character can't go. You know what I mean by that? You can take the nigga out the ghetto, but you can't take the ghetto out the nigga. So I had to change my character once I got into these high places and started dealing with these corporate executives, right? I couldn't take the ghetto in there with me. And a lot of times what people do is, they don't have the ability to adapt to the circumstances. You can take me anywhere, It's an old saying, closed mouth don't get fed. Mm-hmm. Hey, man, but a fish that don't open his mouth never get caught. Mm-hmm. You understand what I'm saying? So you got to know how to, hey, man, if I'm fighting, if you a shark and I'm a tiger, and me and you get into a fight, I ain't going in the water and fight you. Cause I know you're gonna win. But if you come on that land, I'm gonna tear your ass up every time because you're in my territory. Plus, you can't swim without water because you're a shark. I can't swim in the water because I'm a tiger. So you got to be able to adapt to the circumstances. And remember, anything you do defines you. So, in other words, you judge everything in life by what it costs you. You judge everything by what it costs you. If it's going to cost your family, cost your freedom, it's something you might not want to mess with. You understand? So, you got to be able to adapt too. So, those are the 3 things that one have to work on. It's your EQ, your intelligence quotient, your EQ, your emotional quotient, and your AQ, your adaptability quotient.
Did you ever fear consequence?
Now, when I was young, man, I was so gangster, man. I couldn't wait to go to jail. I'm serious, because I knew I was going to go to knocking heads out. Bro, I'm telling you, man, I know you might not believe this, and I know people might say, oh, he just bragging. I was Floyd Mayweather before Floyd Mayweather. I ain't never lost a fight in penitentiary. I couldn't wait to go. I remember this dude, he was about 6'3", he was buff, and we was in the chow hall, and he tried to punk me in the chow hall in front of all these dudes, man. And, my daddy taught me how to fight. So my daddy said, always go for the chair, hit him in the chin. The big boy fell right there on the ground. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of things that I did coming into the prison in the early ages, it just made it my time more smooth because everybody that go from reformatory school, we graduate, we go to the prison. So we all know each other. So, I was kind of established, and so I wasn't scared of nothing, bro. Remember I robbed banks. You got to be a hell of a fool to rob banks.
I'm trying to figure out, like,
Man, I didn't care.
Banks is crazy.
Man, I robbed banks and jewelry stores. I didn't have no fear. I was just out there. I didn't care, man. Like now, everybody, all my partners say you crazy. I go to the hood now. I be like, where the hood at? I want to go to the hood. I don't know if I'm a daredevil or just me just loving my people, right? But I love to go to the hood. Like all the people in my organization, they all gang bangers and Crips and Bloods and GDs, and I get along with them well. I do. Yeah, for me, because like I said, man, all my life, I've been in the streets, and when I got out the streets, and that's why I love corporate America, because squares are more ruthless than the streets. They more notorious than these dudes on the block. Because on the block, we got codes. And we follow the codes. You know what I'm saying? You do certain things. Man, these people will rob you, kill you, steal from you, take your money, do everything. You got to watch these people more than you got to watch street people. People that's in the corporate world, they the most atrocious and the most notorious people on the planet. So I'm more scared of them than I am in the streets, on the block.
In a sense where, like, if money makes you a man, you're not a man.
No. But see, my philosophy on that is, right, I tell people, here's my game, here's my money. I got $1 million, they can take away from me. I got my game, they can hey man, take that $1 million. I get some more money, but game is rare. Let me keep the game. Or should I say, for layman terms, wisdom. Give me the wisdom. I think it was Solomon say, in all you're getting, get wisdom. So wisdom is important because with the wisdom, a man with knowledge and understanding, he can get rich every time. Using similar principles, he can get rich every time. But, money is a fiat. It's an illusion that pass away. Now, as far as the bills coming up in my pimp days, yeah, a woman should always pay all the bills. I mean, that's how I think. Now, depending on the circumstances, like me and my woman today, you know what I'm saying? If she's making the most money, yeah, she's gonna pay the bills. You know what I'm saying? If I'm making the most money, I'm gonna pay the bills. You know what I'm saying? We're a team, we're a partner, we're a family. We organize. She got several businesses that she runs. She generate a lot of money. I generate a lot of money. You know what I'm saying? I just take a lot of money out of her pocket like that. You know what I'm saying? She get mad at me. I might, she just bought me a $42,000 watch, Rolex. I was gonna wear it, man, but we in New York, so I ain't want to lose my watch. It was some bull crap. So she just bought me a $42,000 watch, and she bought me this here too. Paid like $15,000. This is my HHL. So she spent about $60,000 or more on me, and she's not. I bought her a Gucci jacket, probably about $7,000-8,000. She ain't as outlandish or as ostentatious as I am. But usually I end up, we usually spending more of her money than mine. That's not intentional though. It's just I got high taste. What I'm saying? But hey, for a birthday we did ball out though. We balled out. Yeah, we balled out for a birthday.
And that's my thing. So back in the day, like when we was growing up, like if the girl spent money on you, you was that guy, right? Mm-hmm. Now, like you hear all these people like, oh, I can never let my girl cover a bill or something like that. And for me, that's outlandish. Right, like I can't even fathom it, and it doesn't make sense to me.
Well, I think that, a lot of guys, they come off like that, right? That's the front. Once they give it to woman, things change. Woman meet a man, she meeting his representative. The real dude gonna come out. You know what I'm saying? He gonna stop paying them bills. He gonna stop. He gonna say, hey man, we gotta come up with something, man. We gotta figure out how we gonna pay these bills. That only lasts for so long. And the same thing with a man. He could start off. And a lot of people don't know, even in the ism, right? In the P game, you end up buying hair, shoes, nails, clothes. Sometimes you break even, man. You know what I'm saying? It ain't all that it seemed to be. You know what I'm saying? Even though they putting the money in your hand, it still can turn out to be some weird situation, right? But like I said, I don't know, man. I was saying we was talking about on another show about Ken, do you miss the game? I said, man, I don't think I want a woman to pay me no more, like that. He said, why? I said, because it made me lazy. All I did was sit at home, pick my toes, spend money at the shop store, tell them to slide to the door, go give me some more. But if y'all remember back in the days when I was really peeing, I was fat as a pig. Y'all remember that? You see my face and how fat I was? I didn't do nothing but eat steak and lobster and shrimp and crab, and even I went to Red Lobster. Give me a combination with the steak, lobster, crab, and pimpin. It's a combination. I'm eating everything, man. I'm just getting fat as a dog. So now I take care of myself a little bit better, man. And I like work. I like the challenge of worker. I mean, and then I can't give a woman that much power. Where she control my finances or she the final say so. I got to have my own paper too. So, I mean.
How many women was the most that you had at one time?
I had 16. And I'm going to tell you, everybody told me how that 16 happened, right? So, how it happened was I went to Indiana. I had 8 girls with me. And when we got to Indiana, this girl named Sensation, she chose up. When she chose up, the whole crew that was with dude came with me. So, it lasted for about a good month. I had 16 in my hiatus in my game, but my standard was I liked it to be around 4 or 5 at a time.
Too much. How did you get to the international game?
Oh man, it was crazy, right? Because I was around some dudes that I grew up with. Flip, may rest in peace. He kept talking about New York and this dude, man, he was my partner, but he had more money than me, man. I'm like, man, but he had more stirrings than me. I'm like, man, this nigga, everybody listening to him, and he talking about, yeah, New York and D.C. and all that. I said, man, I got to go. I got to travel. So I told my partner, J.D., I said, man, we got to hit this road. And we started hitting the road, and I realized that Milwaukee was a cold town, that we was really the game, and everybody started respecting us, and people, everywhere we go, because, up there, we wear $1,000 shoes. All our jewelry was custom. We custom mink. It was just a thing that was in that town. It's like we were so close to Detroit and Chicago. Milwaukee wanted to be better than Chicago and better than Detroit. So whatever they was doing, we was hyperbolic. We put it on 10. So we came like that. So I go to these other towns, and these dudes would be from New York and Jersey, and they be praising me, and I'm like, man, I'm just a country boy from Milwaukee. But I didn't realize that I was a fly dude. And then a lot of dudes that I had, y'all know how I talk. I talk real slick. So I know that I was slick talking until I got on the road. Everybody like, man, Ken, say what you said again. And then dudes would ride with me and see what I was saying with the girl so they can mimic and they can copy what I was saying. They can go back and say it to the girl. So I knew I was sharp then. And then, that's how everybody started, recognizing and respecting me. I just kind of gained it over the years, just going to different cities, popping up in New York, popping up in Detroit, popping up in Cali, Vegas. We just started getting to know each other. And then when they did the international vote, everybody was like, man, who really do it? They said, man, don't nobody do it like Ken. And you got to take it out of the context of me now and put me in the context where I'm just 1,000% in the street. My mentality was street. I was really about that life. So, dudes was in the game and they fell off and they didn't have no money. I bleed in the game so much I give them $1,000. Yeah, my nigga, get on your feet. Like that. I was just getting crazy. And then when Pimps Up, Hoes Down came out, my father said, you fucked up. I said, what? Why you say that, Pa? He said, now everybody know your business, nigga. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, he's right. You know what I'm saying? So I knew I had to get out the game, man, because Pops was my hero, man. He kind of guided me through my whole process. He the one taught me how to be the gentleman I am. Because, I wanted to, when I first started having money, I wanted to be better than everybody. I wanted to think, and I like, damn, I'm killing these niggas. These niggas, they mess with me, and, I'm popping. He said, son, let me tell you something. He said, whenever you go in the club, he said, don't go to the man that got all the money. This how he talk. He country, right? He said, go to the poor man, the broke man, and that's your friend. He said, never respect the niggas with the money. He said, they ain't shit, son. They trying to get you. They out to get you. And that's why people always see me with the people, the regular people. And my daddy taught me that. And that's what kind of, that's what navigate me to be who I am. People this day say, Ken, cool. Man, everybody in penitentiary got a Pimpin' Ken story. Cause I didn't touch bases with him. I either sold him a DVD or a book or something. And I like that. I like that than to be notorious, like you hear about these people in New York, Don Diva and stuff. I ain't never want to be them type of dude. I always want to be the type of dude that can go to Walmart.
I mean, listen, everything, like, you got to know the territory that you signing up with. Like, you got to know what comes with it. You know what I'm saying? The good, the bad, the risks, the rewards. I just hope everybody understand that part. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of people, the thing is, a lot of people will do something because they see, like you said, they jump into the game or they jump into a situation because they see the pros in the situation. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times they're not built for the cons of the situation. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And when that happens, then you start to see who was really, who they said they were,
right,
and who was really not. You know what I mean? And I'm gonna just say it like this: everything I did, I knew the consequences that I was gonna face. So before I did it, I actually mentally prepared myself for my punishment. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yeah.
And when I did it, but the goal was to not get caught. Yeah. Right? That's always the goal. But before I did it, I'm like, all right, what's the time frame on this? Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Well, how I not, am I built for a 10? Am I built for a 2? Am I built for a 25?
Yeah.
So then, but I think that a lot of times people just do things, and I see a lot of people around me growing up, they just jump into things, situations, because they say, okay, cool, this is making money. Okay, cool, this is what I want to be like. This is the respect I want to have with these types of people. And then it all goes out the window when the situation hits the fan.
But pimping, right? I never wanted to be that.
See, what, a pimp, you saying?
Yeah, I never wanted to be in the game. My partner had some girls, and I stumbled on it. I liked it.
I stumbled on it.
I had to use that. I stumbled on it.
No, I liked it. I liked it more so the player side, because I used to shoot craps, and my daddy was a crooked dice. He showed me how to shoot crooked dice and how to shoot pool. So I liked it. That was more flyer than me, right? The pimp life was boring, and it was like, man, you got to travel and do all that. I never really liked it. It's just something that I stumbled on. But my mama always said, whatever you do, be your best at it, right? That was instilled in me as a kid. So, without even trying, I said the same thing you said. I signed up for this, so I'm going to learn whatever it is that you got to learn about this game, and I'm going to master whatever I got to master about this game. But my most comfortable place was being a player. I used to like winning them $40,000, $50,000 crap games. I done broke so many people, man. It was like, I'm serious, man. Anybody in Milwaukee tell you, I done won millions gambling, So I liked that game better, and my OG was Jim Danny, But once I signed up for the game, I felt the same way you felt. Whatever come with this, come with it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. They told me I couldn't carry a gun. When I first come to New York, I got a gun.
Yeah.
So my guy cussed me out. Man, Ken, your career will be over before it gets started. Take the gun down. I'm like, at my 9, I'm like, this is my best friend. What you talking about, man? You know what I'm saying? So I take the gun out. What happened? You know what I'm saying? I come back to the hometown, trying to be, like I'm in New York or in D.C. or Cali, and get shot 3 times.
And I needed it.
Yeah, I got robbed. They tried to rob me, and I'm crazy enough not to give the niggas my jury. Like, nigga, it ain't y'all didn't pimp for it. Fuck you. You know what I'm saying? And they pow, pow, pow. They shot the car up 100 times. You know what I'm saying? So, that's what I signed up for. It's a non-contact sport, But when I was hustling, I loved it. I carried 3 pistols, you know what I'm saying? I had one under my bushes, one under my pillow, one in the car. Every time I went to the club, I used to do like in The Godfather, I would tape the gun behind the toilet before the club opened. Then I come back in there. I'm in the club with my strap. That was me, because that's what I was in, and it kept me safe. The minute I got rid of my gun and went into I get shot, almost died 3 times. Hit me 3 times with 9mm. So I signed up for it. When I went to jail, all them niggas was crying. I said, nigga, quit crying. I got 30 niggas. I don't give a fuck, nigga. How much money, how much dope you sold, nigga? Don't act like a little bitch. You know what I'm saying? I'm talking to them like that,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because that's what we signed up for.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how I was. I wasn't never scared of jail. Then never felt like, oh man, these white men got me in trouble. No, I tried to tear their rims off. I got millions out there. You know what I'm saying? I was out robbing every bank that didn't have a security guard in it. You know, so that's just you're right. We take chances, life chances, but you got to do whatever comes with it.
Yeah, I agree.
You got to accept whatever comes with it.
All right, guys. So this has been a beautiful episode. Very, very intriguing. Lots of gems were dropped. Pimpin' Ken, tell the audience what you got coming up.
Okay, y'all can follow me at hhfmedia.com. Become a friend. Join me. You can follow me at realpimpken_. I got my artist, Mike Fresh. I'm also on Trigger Alert. Y'all can go to Trigger Alert. Check us out, me and Ugly Money, live every Wednesday. I have my podcast, Pimpin' Ken Podcast. All you got to do is go to YouTube, type in Pimpin' Ken Podcast. You can check me out there. Me and my man, we're going to be working on some things. We're going to do some collaborations. You know what I'm saying? I got my CEO. I'm in New York and in Jersey with my man, James CB Gray. He's been showing us a good time. Got my DJ, DJ 16 in the building with me. I got a lot of, good people here, that's from the organization. So y'all make sure y'all go and check that out, and I got my CFO, Felicia, in the building. I got Kimry in the building. We got, everybody in the building. So, and also go get my new book. This ain't my new book. Go get my book, Pimpology, The 48 Laws of Game, and my other book, The Art of Human Chess, The Study Guide to Winning. And you can get it at audible.com. Just type in the name Pimpin' Ken in the search box. My man Dave Gonzalez is in the building too. He got the clothing line. Y'all make sure y'all go to HHL hiphopfraternity.com and get your new jacket. 8 at the table.